Hello, and welcome to the AstroEnergy Astrology Show podcast with astrologer Shelley Overton. Hi, welcome to the AstroEnergy Astrology Show podcast on September 2nd, 2020. My name is Shelley Overton, and I'm happy to welcome you here. I am an astrologer in Orlando, Florida, and if you are interested in getting a reading from me, you can get me at angeliczodiac.com. It is a rainy day here in Orlando, and let's just look up, see how warm it is. Trying to go back to a little bit of the format that I had before I changed to SoundCloud. 82 degrees here in Orlando, and we had some rain already. And it's still overcast, and it's not surprising because we have a moon in Pisces. Yes, we had a full moon in Pisces last night, and it was overnight, actually. Let me think. I actually had it, and I tossed this away. I apologize. I tossed my ephemeris onto the bed because in preparation for this podcast, I have lots of things going on. So about 10:22 Pacific and 1:22 a.m. actually this morning, Wednesday morning, we had that full moon. And so that means, of course, the sun is in Virgo and the moon is in Pisces, exactly opposite. And so we had and still are having this emotional energy around what we feel throughout the day. I mean, I tell you, it's really hitting me because the moon right now is within 1 degree of a direct opposition to my sun. And Neptune is at 1 degree past that. So Neptune's at 19 degrees retrograde. So he's been going backwards through Pisces, hitting a lot of the Virgo energy in my chart. And now we've got the moon joining up with Neptune. So that energy, and this will all be in the past by the time you hear it. So my apologies. Hang on one second. I always have this when I have a podcast. I gotta clear my throat. Hang on. There we go. Okay. Yeah. So Pisces energy is, it can be like a cloud over our emotional life. And I've been feeling that today, and it's physically in my environment because it's been overcast most of the day. It's extremely humid. All of those things with weather, rain, really relate to the sign of Pisces. And the moon is also a water sign. And so, of course, we have this double water energy. And then add to that Neptune, which is the ruler of the oceans, the god of the seas. And he's right there at 19, joining with the moon. And so, of course, we're going to have excess emotions, maybe flooding, water issues. We've got Mercury on the other side at 25 Virgo. So Mercury is also technically in opposition to both. I go by 8 degrees of arc. So within 8 degrees of an opposition, you're going to have the energy of an opposition. So the moon currently is within 7 degrees of an exact opposition to Mercury in the sky right now. And then Neptune is within 6 degrees of that same opposition. No, sorry. So, yeah, so we've got this very powerful collection of planets opposing each other, because not only is Mercury in Virgo, but the sun is in Virgo at 10 degrees. So the moon, to be full, was exactly opposite the sun this morning, early on, or overnight, like I said. And Mercury is directly opposite the same energy with Neptune. What does that all mean? It means that Mercury, being the ruler of Virgo, I'm sorry, got a ledge there. Mercury and Virgo's ruled by Mercury. It's an earth energy. It's about our thought processes. When Mercury experiences conflicting aspects, so squares, oppositions, and even trines at times, inconjuncts, he can act up. He can make it difficult to understand communications. He can have miscommunications. He can have missed meetings, missed appointments, trouble with traffic, trouble in cars, communications, transportation, small pets, animals, all sorts of things that relate to Mercury. To give you an example, just this week alone, my father missed a doctor's appointment yesterday, and he has 4 planets in Virgo, greatly upsetting to him. He went back to the scene of the crime, so to speak, to see what he did wrong, because he didn't take a map and he didn't have GPS, and he relied on memory. And he is 78 years old. So he was a little upset by not having an accurate view of what was going on. And that was, let's see, today's Wednesday, that was Tuesday. Sunday, my daughter calls me up, and the call we never want to get, which is, I had a car accident. And so she rear-ended a guy ahead of her leaving a little strip mall area that we have here in Orlando. And she thought he had gone, turned to see the oncoming traffic to make sure it was clear, accelerated to go, and he had not gone. So she rear-ended him. And it's a common mistake. Honestly, I've done the very same thing. But that kind of thing is happening right now, especially with Pisces, the moon in Pisces. We're going to take it even more to heart. It's going to be more difficult for us to integrate what happens if we mess up, because Mercury in Virgo is a perfectionist and a critical thinking energy. So when we have Mercury in Virgo, we express that. We are more critical of ourselves. It is probably the strongest placement and one of the signs, Virgo, that we feel really not validated. And the thing is, we're not validated by ourselves. We are very hard on ourselves. And then we have the sun in Virgo right now. So of course, our ego is going to take a hit if something goes wrong. And then the opposite, Pisces energy, is very much like, it's okay, let it go. It's all good, which also, honestly, at this point, with oppositions being so close, contribute to accidents, contribute to the difficulty we have understanding things. It makes us a little bit dazed. And I will admit right now, I'm a little bit fuzzy. I feel a little flaky. I feel a little distracted. And this energy is really strong. We're feeling it. We are feeling it with family and in how we interact in a business environment, especially at work. Be very cautious. This is an energy that can bring about the distractions that cause accidents. And it was interesting, before the podcast, I was looking at my ephemeris, but the planner. And at the beginning of the year, if you listen to my podcast or follow me over from Blog Talk, excuse me, you would know that I go through this and I write down at the beginning of the year everything that happens in my perspective with these aspects. And so all the writing on here, with the exception of a few of the highlighted things, is what I wrote at the beginning of the year. And so going through the year, it helps me write horoscopes, which I do for ZodiLove, which is an app that I'm involved with and helped create. And so it tells me what's going on. And this week I wrote the first, accidents. Thursday, accidents. And my daughter had an accident 2 days before this. So yes, you can feel the energy coming in. You can be influenced by planetary energies as these aspects approach. So be aware of that. Like, as I tell you about incoming aspects, if I tell you this is the exact date, know that that can even go as far out as a week, 10 days, especially with bigger aspects like Saturn turning retrograde, Saturn going direct, Uranus changing signs. Any of these, we experience them farther in advance than just that specific day. So it's an influence that as a gradient starts coming in. And so, you know, today it's a direct hit with the moon, but we will still feel this energy coming up in the coming days as well. So just be super cautious. Through tomorrow, the moon will be in Pisces, and it changes signs around 4:22, I want to say, in the afternoon. And let's see, Thursday. Yeah, I don't have it on this when it says the exact time it changes. Oh, yeah, I do. 422. My apologies. So yeah, 422, Moon in Aries on Thursday. And so Moon in Aries is really strong energy around taking action, having more drive. Moon in Pisces is kicking back, muddling through things, not being able to get it done, feeling, like I said, distracted, flaky, exhausted, tired, sleepy, drowsy, any of that. And then Moon in Aries, we're going to see much more drive. I mean, it's the afternoon, so you might not feel it until later in the evening. And then definitely on Friday and Saturday, we'll feel more driven to do things. It falls in my house of work. So I've had a struggle this week, really motivating to get the work I need to do done on my computer for my website. So I'm really anticipating that that will pick up, even though we have Mars in Aries right now. And for whatever reason, I have little itches in different parts of my head, which Aries rules the head. So it's kind of like Mars and Aries are just saying, hey, I'm here, don't forget about me. And so I will tell you, Mercury is at 25 degrees of Virgo and about 130 degrees apart, 100, let me see, 120, no, 100, gosh, Pisces. Why is my mind not working? 150, thank you. 150 degrees apart, give or take a degree, is Mars and Mercury. So Mars in Aries, Mercury in Virgo, and they're both in their own signs. So this energy is really like a battle for understanding and a battle for action. And that's really what Mars wants to do, is take action. He wants to get stuff done. I personally do want to get stuff done. Unfortunately, there's also an opposing, and not opposing, a mirroring in conjunct to my own natal Mars right now at 26 degrees Cancer, square. Yeah, it's a square. So I've got a lot of hard hitting aspects. I mean, you wouldn't even believe the stuff going on in my chart right now. Trines to my natal planets, oppositions to my sun with Neptune and the moon, full moon. It's a lot. So yeah, and then I have Venus sitting right on my Mars, which is really good for like relationships and home life, you would think. But you know, that energy of Mars coming up on Venus is a square. It's not really fun. Venus and Mars, men and women. So women are the Venus energy expressing out through Cancer, and it's home, family, nurturing. It's also security. And Venus in Cancer wants to know that things are secure, that things are reliable. And really, it's an interesting phenomenon I've noticed between Cancer and Capricorn, that Cancer right now, with all this energy in the stellium of Capricorn, we're feeling like the Cancerians are really expressing Capricorn energy more. And then the Capricorns are looking for that calming quality, that nurturing quality of Cancer. So it's almost as if they're expressing each other's energy. And but anyway, we do have a stellium in Capricorn. We have Jupiter at 17 degrees Capricorn retrograde. We've got Pluto at 22 Capricorn and Saturn at 25. So we also have an opposition between Venus and Saturn direct, a close opposition between Venus and Pluto, and they're all retrograde. So we're going to experience this, let me see. It won't happen, yeah, probably is not going to happen again soon, because Venus is going direct. She will move on into Leo, and then the other planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, will go direct throughout the end of September and into October, and they'll finally move forward, but they're so slow moving, they're not going to catch up to Venus. She will aspect them again when she gets to other signs. So when Venus is in Leo, the Leos and people with strong Leo in their charts are going to feel this really strongly, because as those planets in Capricorn go direct, there's an inconjunct energy. There's a difficult, stressful energy between the way that those two signs express. So Capricorn, again, wants the structure to be there, wants tradition, wants the knowingness, the word that came to mind was stagnant. So that's spirit, that's not me, but the stability and status quo. And then you have Leo coming up, and I can tell you when that happens. It's fairly soon, actually. So let's just look at the coming week, shall we? Well, so Mercury enters Libra at 3:46 on Saturday, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. And then Venus enters Leo at 3:22 a.m. Sunday morning, and followed an hour later by Moon going into Taurus. So those two energies will be squaring immediately after that, and at 4:52, Moon and Venus do square each other because Leo squares Taurus. So in that timeline on Sunday, we're going to feel that battle going on between, again, Earth energy, stable Taurus energy, and lively, passionate, dramatic Leo energy. It's the leader. He wants things done in a very larger than life way. He's willing to stretch the truth, to give added interest in entertainment and drama to whatever is going on. But the moon will be in Taurus, and moon in Taurus is also about money, stability, knowing where security financially is coming from, and really wanting to grow something where Leo could burn it up. We're going to still have Mars in Aries for the rest of the year and into 2021. And so fires are still a hazard and potential. When Venus goes in this weekend into Leo, that's unfortunately when the fires, or it can also be anything that is beholden to fire, like ignition of something, which could be rockets, it could be fireworks or explosives, any, matches, guns, all these have a connection to fire and honestly to Mars and Aries. And then when we have Venus go into Leo, it's about the material goods and how it's expressed. So that means that there's going to be a cost in the physical world. And we can see, if there's fire still in California, that's when the homes are going to take more of a hit, the material goods, and businesses may take a hit. It's not something I really look forward to or want to even express necessarily. But that's what we see, when you have even a trine. So it won't be a trine. I'm sorry, that's something here. It'll be trine by sign. So Venus will be in Leo and Mars will be in Aries, and they're both fire signs, but one's at the beginning of the sign, the other's at the end of the sign. So what happens is Venus will finish up in Cancer, the sign of home, and it's water. So it's the emotion of the situation. And then it goes into Leo and ignites. So maybe right now with Venus in Cancer, there's more ability to fight fires in California with dumping water, etc. Moon in Pisces, Neptune in Pisces, we're seeing more ability to fight fires. But then Moon goes into Aries tomorrow, Venus goes into Leo, and then we've reignited the fire, we've reignited the passion, we've reignited the drama. And so that can also ignite people. I've talked about this before. Trump has Pluto in Leo, and elderly, more people born in the 40s and 50s into the mid 50s, I believe Pluto went into Virgo in the mid to late 50s. So people in the 40s, mid 40s and to the 50s had Pluto in Leo, which is basically the energy of burning it down and rebuilding. So Pluto would do that anyway. Pluto is a very bombastic, expressive, larger than life, potent energy that can completely wipe something out. It's the sign of the Phoenix. It'll wipe it out once it realizes, in expression in our lives, wherever it falls in our charts, it will give us profound change throughout our lives. So my Pluto is in the house of friendships, and definitely throughout my life, I've had different groups of friends, very specific groups of friends that as I've changed or as I've moved, those friends go away. And it's a very strong demarcation, not that I don't still connect to some, but I do. But those clusters, those people who are like a soul group shift and change. And that also changes with my belief systems as I've grown older. So, you know, wherever you see Pluto, if it's in the first house, you will change how you see yourself throughout life. If you have it in the seventh house, you will change partners at some point. There may be dramatic shifts and changes in your marital status. In career house, major shifts and changes in your desire to have a specific career. So when we have Pluto energy affected and people have this in their chart, and then you have these strong transits over your Pluto, as a collective, we will see these shifts and changes come out of that generation and that personality archetype within a generation. And I have to say, you know, I have elderly parents, both of them have Pluto and Leo, and the president has Pluto and Leo. So now we have this connection, this identity as a generation with that particular demographic. And that's what happens with Pluto. He's a generational planet. Currently, he's in Capricorn. So the children born during this last decade and some change will have this strong desire for leadership, for the structures of society, for rules and regulations, and they need that and they want that. As they grow older, you know, 21, 28 years from now, when their Saturns are 3/4 of the way to a return or at a return at 28, we're going to see a renovation of structures in society because that's a connection to the Saturn on the Pluto right now. So that's 2041, 2048, if you can even fathom that year. It's really difficult for me to even fathom 2048. Think about it. But yet it'll be here in no time. And those having children this year, their kids will have this cluster of planets in Capricorn in their natal charts. And that will be triggered when Saturn hits Jupiter, Saturn hits Pluto. I would venture to even say, oh my gosh, I don't want to say it, but it's an obvious trigger when Saturn reaches that Jupiter-Pluto point at 17 to 22. Of course, it is the world point. So in 28 years, so around that time, there could be another pandemic. There could be another health crisis. There could be another awakening of someone who is in power or who wants to be in power, taking power. And it's triggering this event. So those children born now will, that generation, as they get to 21, 28 years, we're going to have blooms, so to speak, of this energy coming out in society. So I would say, look at 2041, look at 2048, and anticipate that that's going to happen. And honestly, that's how Nostradamus or any other ancient prophet or astrological observer was able to understand the cycles so far in advance, because they can read into it through these planetary connections. So currently we have the nodes at Gemini and Sagittarius, and those nodes are about transportation. And those are obviously affecting everybody right now. Honestly, I think that we are starting to see more transportation. I watched this really great YouTube channel called Living Off the Grid with Jake and Nicole, and they are up in British Columbia, and they live off the grid in this beautiful, I mean, like gorgeous island off the coast of British Columbia. I think it's off Vancouver Island. And they go to the store, and the only way they can get to the store is through this raft boat that they have. And they show video in every single episode that is phenomenally gorgeous, of clear open water with high pine trees and gorgeous sky. And that's their rush hour. And I think about that because this week I was out driving and all the traffic has come back now. And I'm in a very crowded side of Orlando, the east side of Orlando. and school's back in and buses are back out and all this is coming back because we have the retrograde of the Capricorn stellium. It was predicted, I don't like using that word, but that's what it is. I forecast what we can expect. And so we see this energy coming out, and now it's retrograded the energy that was about isolation and being on the computer. The planets that created that energy in our environment, Saturn, and I think at the time there was probably a moon or something else going on, I don't remember, but Saturn's now retrograde back, and Pluto, Jupiter were going forward, and Jupiter got very close to being ready to switch into Aquarius, and now it's back mid-range of Capricorn. And so we've got this energy flowing retrograde back towards how it was before all of this hit. And so as these planets go direct and work their way back towards Aquarius, it's going to clamp down again. It's going to shut down because Aquarius is about detachment, and Jupiter expansion goes into the sign of detachment, emotional pulling back, emotional space. This is why a lot of us have been feeling anxious and on edge when we feel the energy of Aquarius, and the moon was just in Aquarius yesterday and the day before, and midway the day before that. So basically the beginning of the week, those anxieties can come out. And really, I think I've addressed this in past podcasts, but the energy of Aquarius, it rules mental health, and it's an air energy. So it is about our minds. It's about how we process what's going on. And as these planets move closer, of course, Capricorn wants it to be very strict and solid, but our world is rocking, and it's going to continue that even as the planets move through and out of Aquarius into Pisces, because Pluto will still be there for 4 years. And Pluto is still experiencing the psychology of what we're doing to get ready for those new changes, but also wrapping up the old ways. And so Pluto is also about the mystery and the psychology of things, where Aquarius it does rule mental health and social awareness. Psychology is really a Pluto realm, and Scorpio. So it's about the thought processes and the hidden. And I got the phrase treasures of the hidden. So that's a really good thing. Think about that. I got chills with that too. It is treasures of the hidden. We are, even though there are things that will come out, nobody wants to see, and really nobody wants to experience, but they have to come out. And Jupiter moving forward and releasing through Capricorn will bring those out, especially because he goes back over Pluto on the way out the door. Saturn, he's 3 degrees away from Pluto. I don't believe he's going to get back all the way to Pluto before he goes direct, but I will check that out for us. Let's see. So Saturn is at 25 degrees and 20 minutes before he leaves, and so he stays on the outside of that particular planet, and he doesn't go back over it. So sorry. Anyway, so Jupiter will, and Jupiter is going to go and expand, almost like, okay, I'm here, flash of light of inspiration and understanding and spiritual growth. Jupiter will bring an awareness as he goes over Pluto. He will shine the light on the hidden. Pluto is trying to keep the deep emotions to self, and it uses emotion as currency. So wherever Pluto is in your chart, or Scorpio, there is an energy of currency with the emotions. Jupiter is about keeping things moving and expression of understanding and education and higher awareness. So he goes across Pluto and says, what do you got in there? Oh, let's look under your skirt. Let's look in the box. Let's look behind the curtain and find out what you have. And so Jupiter will cross back over Pluto after he goes direct, which will happen. You like that dramatic pause I made there? Which will happen right of the week of November 8th through the 14th. And that's when Mars goes direct. So you can guarantee Mars goes direct at 15 degrees of Aries. I've got chills all over my body. So, November, I mean, just seriously, between now and the end of the year, it's one event and probably major event after another happening, because Mars going retrograde is going to pull us back, make us redo things. I mean, as much as Mercury can do that as well, especially Mercury retrograde in fire signs, which Mercury is not this year. Mercury is in Earth energy, and it was Scorpio. Yeah, retrogrades in I believe late Libra and Scorpio is the last retrograde. So all the retrogrades were mostly in water, but the retrogrades of Mercury and fire definitely will ignite action and doing things actively, whereas in water or even air, we're redoing our thoughts, we're redoing our contracts, we're redoing how we feel about things. So yeah, we've got that coming. Excuse me. Uranus is the only fellow we haven't talked about. And Uranus is at 10 degrees of Taurus. So today he's in trine to the sun. I would say that is an accent on like technology, rockets, design. Oh my gosh, something's definitely coming in. Pardon me. Yeah, but the sun lights up and shines information, and especially in Virgo, the sun in Virgo is about understanding and information and education, but also bringing the sense of service and humility, wanting to do good for somebody or an entity. And then Uranus is about the collective, and in Taurus, Uranus, as I've spoken ad infinitum, is about technology growth, the collective internet, all this. If you just think electrical energy on a broad scale, you've pretty much got the majority of what Uranus is. It's quantum ideas and inventions and trining the sun. So it's a great time to have new ways of understanding things for children, school, but I will tell you, it's a trine. So trines can be uncomfortable. It's something that has to be done, but you get benefit from it. So that energy is right there. And then of course, Mars, he gets so close to going into Taurus, but then he retrogrades. And we'll probably talk more Mars retrograde coming up in the near future. Let me just double check again when he goes retrograde on the 9th. And that's a pretty big time. Again, for me, I use myself as an example. I was thinking about doing a definition of someone's chart, a celebrity. So I will ask you, if you're watching this on YouTube, leave in the comments a celebrity you want me to evaluate their chart on next week or in the near future, because I'm not taking live readings for people right now, and that may go on for a while, honestly. I don't really think I'm going to take them in the near future, but if you have a question, I will definitely answer that on the podcast, and I would love to. And if you have a celebrity you want me to look into, I will do that as well. Because I just think that when you go over these charts, it's much more engaging and illustrative to have a person's chart that you can look at and say, yeah, this is something that I understand. Try and put up today's chart here on the podcast. I like to do that because I think then you can look at it and kind of follow along. I'm looking over at my computer, so I keep looking over there. But anyway, as I go on, having a celebrity is a really great way to dissect a chart, and in a, I think, fairly harmless way. Everybody knows that celebrity, their lives are fairly public. So I'll have to consider giving, I mean, you can see a tremendous amount in a chart, and that's why I do readings. I can see very private personal information. So we'll try and keep it a little bit more superficial if we do that. But, definitely energy's coming in for everybody. I was just reading in the news and seeing a lot, this whole, I don't even want to say it, one of the covert groups that are coming out right now that everybody kind of has heard of recently, a single letter of the alphabet. I'm not going to say it because I don't want this flagged by YouTube. So anyway, that group can, you get that kind of information. You can look and see the inclination and where those kind of things can come out in a chart. And they were talking about Tom Hanks actually having all this covert stuff going on, and it's interesting because you have one side of the political spectrum, especially in the spiritual world, and people who post YouTube videos saying there's a whole group of people who are doing bad things in Hollywood, and then you have the whole group of Hollywood people saying the exact same thing about politicians, and it's like everybody's kind of pointing fingers at each other. Anyway, I don't know if I made that point very clearly, but oh well, whatever. It's, again, late in the day, and I thank you for joining me. I hope you're enjoying the podcast. If you have any questions, please do put them in the comments below, or Facebook, I have Angelic Zodiac. You can email me through my website, also angeliczodiac.com. If you want to see my art, you can go to shelleyoverton.com. All the links are on my website. And what else? Oh yeah, Patreon. If you're interested in joining up on Patreon, I've got a lot of great benefits if you want to join on Patreon. And that is Artful Shelley and also Angelic Zodiac. I have 2 Patreon pages. So go to Angelic Zodiac. And yeah, so it's going to be an interesting week. It's going to be even more exciting next week. Should be a very interesting show next week with Mars turning retrograde. And spoiler alert, it's my birthday next week. So anyway, we'll talk to you then. And it's good to see you again. Thanks for joining me. Bye. Oh, here we go again. That better? Okay. Hello, how are you? It is, oh gosh, AstroEnergy. Hi, let's start over. Hi.
You have been listening to the AstroEnergy Astrology Show. If you would like to get a private reading with Shelley, please contact her through angeliczodiac.com or at so@angeliczodiac.com. You can arrange a reading through the Angelic Zodiac page at facebook.com as well. Check out Angelic Zodiac on Instagram for up-to-date information on events, discounts, blogs and planetary transits at Angelic Zodiac 1 on Instagram. If you would like to see Shelley's art, shelleyoverton.com, or for astrology art, go to astroart.net. Music provided by Kevin MacLeod at incompatech.com. Other music will be credited within the show. Advice given in the program is intended for entertainment purposes only. Join us here next week for more of the AstroEnergy Astrology Show podcast. You can find us on iTunes and Google Play, and where podcasts are accessed.